We have never done a sports story in the history of this show. We have done no sports talk. Russell has subjected me to a lot of his Marvel movie talk and Disney talk, but we have not done a baseball story.
Tonight.
And he will be doing some more Disney talk tonight.
That's really a labor story.
Tonight, it's more of a labor-oriented Disney story, indeed. And this is a labor story of sorts as well. This is an absolutely stunning development if you're a sports fan, even if you're not a sports fan. In fact, perhaps especially if you're not a sports fan. You might be thinking, what? $700 million for 10 years of playing baseball? Well, yeah. Shohei Ohtani, the most coveted free agent in baseball history, to sign $700 million contract with the Los Angeles Dodgers. This is from the Athletic.
Baseball has been very, very good to me.
You talk about, I mean, you look at a paper like this. This is from the Athletic. This is a sports magazine, obviously. They really talk about this guy the way, like, the North Korean press would talk about Kim Jong-un. Like, they really, I mean, the glory that he carries in this article. Shohei Ohtani's singular pursuit of history, one man's quest to rewrite the baseball world's understanding of what is possible, reached another summit on Saturday when he agreed to the largest contract in the annals of major North American team sports, a 10-year, $700 million contract with the Los Angeles Dodgers, his agency CAA announced. He just better not come out for Gaza, now that he's got this contract. He better keep his mouth shut about that. It's the only way that he could blow it at this point.
It's the only way he could lose, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Ohtani announced his decision on Instagram. The deal ends years of feverish speculation about Ohtani's future. Ohtani, a 29-year-old two-way sensation, has captivated the industry since he left Japan.
Thing? What is that?
Yeah, I will explain. I knew you were going to go there.
He does a little little two-way for the fans. That's why they want him.
Exactly.
Nobody does the two-way like he does. Whoa.
By two-way, that means he's done things that appeared impossible in the modern era, feats that harken back to Babe Ruth. So what they actually mean by two-way, all crude humor notwithstanding, is he is a great pitcher and a great hitter. And that's unheard of nowadays. As he traveled the country with the Los Angeles Angels this past summer, fans serenaded him with recruiting pitches. When he entered free agency, a dozen teams lined up, curious to see if they could meet his eye. Only one team could secure Ohtani's services. He will now be compensated for both his immense talent and unparalleled star power. See, they really talk about him like he's the new leader.
Yeah.
This guy could be the mayor.
It's like Michael Jordan shit.
Yeah. His contract eclipsed the $360 million record for free agents set last winter by the New York Yankees slugger Aaron Judge, and also surpassed the record-setting $426.5 million extension from Ohtani's former Angels teammate Mike Trout. So you see, this is not only a record contract, this is unheard of. I mean, this guy is basically $1 billion man now between this and all the endorsements that he's going to score. I mean, this is literally, I mean, it's unbelievable. His achievement exceeded even those outside of baseball, topping the $450 million contract inked by Kansas City Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes. Ohtani has outpaced even soccer star Lionel Messi's $674 million contract signed in 2017 when he was with FC Barcelona. Here's how his contract stacks up to other baseball stars, obviously blowing out the competition by almost double. His individual brilliance, like I said, this is like state press in like North Korea, like they're writing about Kim Jong-un. His individual brilliance was not enough to lift the Angels into the postseason. Oh, that's right. With the Dodgers, Ohtani will now have an opportunity to add collective hardware to his trophy case. The Dodgers have won the National League West in 10 out of the past 11 seasons, topped 100 victories in 5 of the past 6 full seasons, and won the World Series in 2020. Ohtani has never played a postseason game in his big league career. This is why baseball teams...
Choke.
What's that?
He's going to choke.
Choke, yeah. Well,
that would be funny, right?
Well, this is why baseball teams don't build themselves around a single player, a single star. Baseball is not like football. It's not like basketball. Football, the quarterback controls the game. It's the same quarterback that goes out every single game. So if you sign a star quarterback, you can go from being a non-contender like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They sign Tom Brady as the quarterback, wins a Super Bowl. Boom. LeBron James in his prime. Whatever team he went to became a contender for the finals that year because he's on the court, theoretically almost at least, every minute of every game. You can always get the ball to the best player in the game. With baseball, so much of the game depends on starting pitching, and the starting pitcher changes every 5 days. So the best starting pitcher in baseball only gets the ball every 5 days. Not only that, the best hitter in baseball is only up 1 out of every 9 times. Right? So you can't just give the bat to the best hitter every single time. That's why baseball is much more of a team sport, which is why, it's one thing to give this kind of contract to a LeBron James or, Patrick Mahomes or a Tom Brady or an Aaron Rodgers. In baseball, it's almost always the case that the team chemistry is the most important thing. Clutch hitting, pitching, defense. The Yankees, that dynasty team in the 90s, I was rooting for that team as a kid. They had a bunch of great players. Derek Jeter later became a marquee star player. At the time, he was a young rookie. They didn't have marquee players. The Houston Astros, this latest sort of dynastic team, if you will, not too many marquee stars on the team. Ken Griffey Jr., right? Wheaties box guy, never won a World Series. Barry Bonds, never won a World Series. Sammy Sosa, never won a World Series. Baseball is not that kind of sport, so that's what makes this very weird. And from a left-wing class perspective, I gotta say, man, growing up a baseball fan, it always kind of struck me a little weird that, hey, we're rooting for these guys who get paid this obscene amount of money. But man, you look at that chart, the amount of money that they're doling out for players this day and age. And don't forget, this isn't the 90s where everybody had money, so nobody really gave a shit. These are hard times for most people in this country. You got people sleeping under every bridge in Los Angeles, and you're pulling in a guy to fucking pitch a ball and hit a ball for $700 million over 10 years. $70 million a year. That amounts to $438,000 a game. Assuming he gets 4 at-bats a game, which is the average, it's $100,000 an at-bat. I mean, that is an unbelievable amount of money. This is like Fall of Rome shit. This kind of decadence, right? It is just... It's a slap in the face to the people. I'm sorry. This offends me.
Well, yeah, it's there was a book. Who wrote that? Was that Todd Gitlin? Amused to Death. This book is very often considered prophetic today because it was written pre-internet, but it really predicted a lot of this, where the society has so much wealth misapplied.
Right,
that
exactly. Right.
It just winds up being just all the money goes into the gladiatorial games, right? Bread and circuses, just keep them entertained. I mean, $700 million. You're getting into literally the GDP of some African countries.
Yeah. All circuses, no bread. I like that comment. Yeah, exactly.
That's it, right. It's to have a society that's wealthy enough to piss it away on a baseball player that will not send people to college, give them health care or housing. I mean,
it's probably not even going to win you a World Series. I mean, you don't build a baseball team around one guy. $700 million for 10 years is insane.
It's like counter Moneyball.
Yeah,
it's the opposite of Moneyball.
See, I'm impressed because Russell's not a baseball fan, but he knows Moneyball. I don't know if you probably saw the movie. Moneyball was based on, what was the guy's name? Bob Bean, Brett Bean, Bill Bean, something like that?
Well, it made a lot of sense to me as a director who always worked non-union, because I felt like, yeah, that's exactly what I do. Yep. I figure out what people are really good at, and I build the entire production around focusing on that in each person.
Right. He built his team around guys who can get on base. That was his big thing. Who's this guy? Never heard of this guy. He only bats .240. Yeah, but look how many times he walks. That means he gets on base. The more we get on base, the more we score. The more we score, the more we win. Right. And he had good starting pitching, great starting pitching on that Oakland team. And then they got knocked out of the postseason, and everybody says, see, this is why he's an idiot. No. One other thing, not to shy. See, we could do a sports show if we wanted. Then we make real money.
You could do a sports
show. Baseball's a 162-game season. There's so much chance in baseball. They call it a game of inches. It's a game of millimeters, really, not a game of inches. The difference between hitting a home run and popping a ball up to second base is not the 200 feet on the field that the ball didn't travel. It's the third of an inch on the bat that you hit it just too low on the bat. So that it pops up instead of going straight. So over the course of 162 games, the best teams win the most games. In the postseason, in a 5-game series, the worst team can win 3 out of 5 against the best team. So the idea that they discredited that guy because his team got knocked out of the postseason, it's nonsense. Those Oakland A's teams were fantastic teams because they were built smart. They were built to win. When the Yankees got rid of Tino Martinez and brought in Jason Giambi, guess what? They didn't win a World Series with Jason Giambi. They went for the big star. Tino Martinez was a much more valuable player. He's a better clutch hitter, much better defense. Anyway, now I'm getting real sidetracked. But the point is, $700 million is offensive to the people, and it's stupid management from a baseball perspective.
All right, so because we never do sports, I never get to tell this Russ origin story. I've been getting a lot of mileage out of the kicked out of Hebrew school story. But to explain why I don't know about sports, okay, so I grew up a mile from Shea Stadium. So as you can imagine, if you know what that is, that was Mets country. I grew up in Flushing. Everybody was a Mets fan. Now, they created the Mets because when the Dodgers left, there was this huge portion of New York baseball fans who were never going to become Yankee fans. They had hated the Yankees for generations, so they had to give them a team. And in a lot of ways, the Mets wound up being the Dodgers, meaning they always lost to the Yankees. They became that, inferiority complex younger brother. They inherited that karma from the Dodgers. So that's a kind of shitty gig, right? So as a little kid, I was actually a sports fan. I watched ice hockey. I watched baseball. I didn't really watch basketball. I watched football. I was into all of it. And one day, because the Mets always lost, and it wasn't just that they lost, it was the way they lost. They always choked in the clutch. And it was so frustrating. Like the Mets could be leading by 10 runs. And you could go pick up a slice of pizza and come back, and they lost the fucking game in the ninth inning. And you're just like, how does that happen?
Who needs this? Right. So
one day I was probably about 8. I was watching the Yankees, and they pulled that thing. I was watching the Mets, rather, and they pulled that. It looked like they should definitely win this game, and they lost. I literally remember that day. I was watching the TV, the old 70s style, little with the rabbit ears, and I was like, I have no control over this. I'm not going to watch this anymore.
You're not going to watch it. Right.
And that was it. I never took an interest in any sport again.
Makes sense. I mean, it's rational for sure.
Please clap.